Oh, 1, 2, 3.
You're very welcome along to the Brian and Kieran Warfield podcast, the ramblings of two Irish balladeers, featuring Brian Warfield of the fierce and mighty Wolf Tones and his son Kieran, that's me, of the band Catalpa, and also of the Bandwagon Bus, Dublin's only musical ballad tour on wheels. So sit back, relax, grab a tea, coffee, beer or wine or whatever takes your fancy as we go rambling through life's misty foggy dew, through stories, songs, history, politics, life on the road and just a general bit of crack. Okay, very welcome along to the third episode, and as per usual, we are calling this episode after a track on the Foggy Dew album from 1965, and the third song on that album was Dicey Reilly.
Oh my God.
And Dicey Reilly, I suppose that talking about it, it would be, well, actually, before we get into it, I'm going to want to dedicate this episode to Paul Leckie, who recently passed away. And Paul was a big Celtic fan and could be seen on regular occasions in Patter Brown's. And he, I'm not too sure, but he was a young enough man. I remember seeing him a couple of times that I was in Patters. And our condolences to his wife, Elaine, and his young son, who was only 10, Patrick.
Oh, dear, that's what a tragedy.
Yeah. So we'd like to dedicate this to Elaine and Patrick and a memory of Paul. Anyway, back to Dicey Reilly. So Dicey Reilly, that would be more synonymous with the Dubliners, yet the Wolf Tones recorded in 1965 and the Dubliners didn't record it until 1967 on their album More of the Hard Stuff. Yeah,
well, I don't know about that because we were singing that long before it was recorded, and it was a song that I got and collected, and I actually wrote a verse to it, and when it was playing in the four chords, back in the early 60s and at the gigs around, I added two claps with, poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sup. And and then I added, she owns a little sweet shop at the corner of the street. So that was the verse I put to it. And the two claps. And then everybody picked up on it, and I think the Dubliners had the two claps on it as well. So, it's something that I started. They probably, picked up the song somewhere off somebody, but we never got credited for it. But it didn't matter, it's all part of the growing up with our ballads and our songs of our city and of our country, and they were to be shared to the world and not to be, let's put it this way, hidden away in your pocket somewhere.
But it's documented that you guys did it first, so there you go.
Yeah, we probably were. Yeah.
You recorded in 1965. Dubliners didn't do it till 1967. So.
Well, there was lots of songs like that, including the Rocky Road to Dublin, which we never recorded, by the way, but we were singing around Dublin long before anybody else. And when we had a session somewhere, the clubs around Dublin or wherever, or in the pubs, Luke Kelly would never sing it when we were around. No, that's the lads' song. No, that's their song. So he heard it first obviously from the Wolf Tones. Songs like the Galway Races and other songs we had probably out before anybody else, because as I mentioned before, we were collecting songs and bringing them to life. And I spent days and days in the National Library in Dublin, picking out songs and getting songs together, working out the melodies and all that kind of thing. And we had a lot of stuff out there before other people grabbed onto it.
And The Sun is Burning will be another one.
Well, The Sun is Burning was a song that was written by Ian Campbell. Yeah. And Ian Campbell, we played we played in Ian Campbell's Folk Club, which is in Birmingham, going back to the time we made our first record. And in actual fact, when we made our first record, we'd done a small little tour of England, and one of the places we played, apart from there were mainly all other ballrooms doing spots of ball dances, but we played in the Ian Campbell Folk Club in Birmingham, and he gave us that song and we put it on record, and we kind of put harmonies to it. We done a different job on it. I remember he was delighted with the work we did on it, and I think his son afterwards contacted me years and years later. He said, "Why don't you come down, we do something together?" I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm down in Jamaica." I said, "Hold on there for a minute, Ian. I'll be over to you now."
I bet you go now. You'd go anywhere.
I don't think he was paying the fare now. I think he was paying my own.
All right. Well, it's still a good story.
Yeah.
And looking back over the history of Dicey Reilly and reading up a little bit about it, not a whole lot now, to be honest, but Dominic Bean added some verses to it, and the reason I know, but the reasoning behind it, they reckon, now this is what they reckon, is that if it was a traditional arrangement, obviously Dicey Reilly, and then if you added your own words to it, you got a bit of the what do you call it,
not really, because like you could always get
royalty.
You could always get a royalty as an arranger of a traditional work,
right?
And that wasn't exclusive to everybody or anybody. But if I had put words to it and you used that particular version, I would be entitled to some royalties from that version.
Because the version that we all know, and I think, I haven't listened to your version of it yet. Now I downloaded it so I can play it at the end, and we'll have a listen to it at the end. But the version, I'm pretty sure that you didn't use the version that added all the prostitution into it.
No. It was a simple little song, and I imagine it started off as kind of a children's rhyme. I don't know, but maybe it did. And, drinking, of course, parents drinking and everything else was all part of Dublin life, wasn't it? Mm. Like, I always remember, my grandmother had her father was a fisherman, Tommy Byrne. Yeah. The Skipper Byrne, as he was known, and I collected a lot of songs off her, including like the Peeler and the Goat, that we recorded later on. But she had this song, and it was about it was her father's song that they sang when they were out fishing, and it was like, up comes the day. What about it? Up comes the conger eel with his fishy tail. Then take me away, boys. I'm on the wrong sail with your hardy weather, boys. Stormy weather, boys. When the wind blows, we'll pull together, boys. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the way they pulled on the oars. All right. As they went out there. And then another guy would sing about, and up comes this fishy, whatever it would be, a whiting, a herring or whatever. And the verse would go on, and then they'd pull again, 1. So that's the way it was done. And that was my grandfather's sea shanty. He had a ship called the Mary Ann. The Mary Ann, not the Marita Ann. That was a bit after that.
But I suppose that helped get away the monotony of going to work and rowing, and it helped them all row together and keep them in time. Yeah, well, you got to remember that he had a trawler, and you got to remember that it was the time of sail. Yeah. There wasn't any kind of engines around at the time, either steam or otherwise, for his ship anyhow. But they trawled by having rowing boats and the main trawler, and they'd pull a trawl between them, and they'd catch what they could. Yeah, I've seen it in the old, but the old sea shanties are brilliant. Yeah. Well, my gran, she had some of them that they sang around Dublin, and she passed them on. I think we might have got through 1 or 2 during the years. Yeah. But she was a wealth of folklore, let's put it that way. She had loads of stuff. Yeah, brilliant. You'd love to have a tape recorder and go back and
yeah, well, I did tape her at some stage, and I still have her on tape. She sings. She had all kinds of songs, and she was not a lover of the black and tans. I can tell you, she hated them.
Did she have a bad experience? Or just hate them in general? Has she seen what they did?
Yeah, but they came in. She lived in the railway cottages there in Inchicore. And of course, my mother remembers the black and tans coming in, and they used to slag them when they came in, jeer them, and they'd the kids, and they'd things like, "Oh, the Boers, they were fighting, and the British couldn't fight, so the Boers took out their rifles and they blew them out of sight. Sound the jungle sound, sound the bugle, sound the drum. Hurrah for Billy the Barber, the hell with the king and his own ting-a-ling. And hurrah for, I don't know whatever you wanted to say, but she sang that all the time. The Boers, they were fighting. Of course, the Boer War of the 1890s would have been part of her experience of life.
Yeah. I remember Grandma used to take us for walks down through Inchicore, and there just before the Black Horse there was a little old headstone there where I think it might have been, it was during the Civil War where there was a lorry blown up there or something.
Oh yeah, that was on the Nace.
He used to tell us that story.
That was on the Nace Road.
Yeah,
and there's a small little monument there.
Yeah, just at the park where
that's at the park. Yeah, opposite the Connacht. As you go down into Connacht Valley. Yeah, that was a Civil War monument. Yeah, and there was a truck blown up there.
Yeah, I remember him telling us about it.
Yeah. He would have known about that because, although he would have been only very young.
Yeah.
He was born in 1919.
Yeah.
So he would have been only 2 or 3. Yeah.
I always thought that he had seen us the way he described it anyway.
Yeah, well, it's probably very much in the folklore of his memory, yeah.
So in Dicey Reilly, they talk about the hop. The hop is the pawn shop, is it?
Yeah, the hock. To hock your clothes, hock.
Did you ever have an experience of the hock?
Everybody in Dublin hocked something at some stage. All working class Dublin, but it was a very, nobody ever wanted to, people were very proud and they didn't want the neighbours to know that you were going to the pawn or anything like that, So you were probably given something and you had to hold it under your coat, get on the bus, go down to James's Street, and there was a pawn office there. You go in discreetly and whatever you were pawning, but it could be your father's suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you go in there and you get 10 shillings or whatever it would be for it, and then to get it back for Sunday Mass, you had to go down on Saturday morning and redeem it. Yeah. You had to give back the 10 shillings plus the interest.
I remember even as a child, like you used to see a lot of the symbol at the pawn shops, the 3 ball.
3 brass balls hanging out. With me 3 brass balls hanging outside me.
I remember there was. I thought, is there one now in Dublin? I don't even know. Is there still one?
Yeah, I seem to remember there just still in. As you turn around there from Parnell Street going up Capel Street, there's Brereton's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether he's still active as a pawn shop.
Yeah.
But I mean, the credit union and things like that got away, for the pawn shop. As I said, my grandfather, Cunningham, he started the loan societies in Dublin, which were the forerunners of the credit unions. And I was watching the programme there about 2 years on RTE, and they were going through, the formation of the loan societies and the credit unions. And it showed the loan societies before the credit unions. I looked it up there and I say, oh, there's me granda. I couldn't believe I saw it out there. I could never get the programme back again. I would have loved to get that photograph, but he's in that photograph with a lot of other people.
Yeah. I think I remember one being down on Clanbrassil Street, somewhere along just as you go through Leonard's Corner there on the right. I don't know whether it's still there now, but
there was a pawn office there. Yeah,
I remember that when I worked down that direction.
Yeah. There was lots of pawn offices around Dublin. I mean, that was everybody. at some stage or another needed a dig out, or the behind in rent or sickness happened, they'd get whatever valuables they had. Might be a camera, might be piece of jewellery, might be even their wedding rings. But when they got into trouble, the pawn shop helped them out, and a lot of the stuff was never redeemed again, lost forever to the family. But there were hard times, so they needed that outlet. The probably extortion rates of interest, but
well, it still goes on.
Loan sharks and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's loan, but there's also I would say credible, but their interest rates are like 400% or 500% or something.
Oh yeah, well it wasn't that bad now. I think you might have paid, like, if you got 10 bob, it might have been like 10% of it or something, or 5% of it, which probably 10%, for the week,
which is fair enough
for the week. You can imagine if I left it there for a year.
It's still a risk, And I'm going to bring us down now. I watched the Celtic game last night. I know that you didn't.
No, I didn't. No. I had Lara and over for dinner last night. Yeah,
but you did yourself.
They're in our bubbles, so we're okay.
You did yourself a favour anyway. You didn't lose 2 hours of your life. It just it gets more frustrating. I think Rangers only need 7 points now to win the league, and they can win it in Celtic Park if they win their next 2 games.
What a turnaround from the years gone by. 9 in a row. They couldn't lose anything. They were playing so well, and just the flick of a hand, the flick of a light. Everything has changed, and it's hard to understand that it went so bad so quick. Yeah,
it comes down to many reasons, I believe, but we're not really going to it in this.
You don't want to insult anybody.
Well, it's not that I don't want to insult anyone. It's just that there's enough people doing podcasts and stuff about Celtic already that I don't want to get into it. I just wanted to give out and just vent.
Let off steam.
But I know Granda Warfield would have been happy because Everton beat Liverpool over the weekend.
Oh yeah, that was a great win, and that's probably the reason I like Everton. My father and my uncle Tommy Maloney, they used to go across to Liverpool on the boat back in their young days, I guess, and the two of them went over there and followed the games. But at that stage, Everton used to fly the tricolour.
Yeah.
And they were very much the Irish side in Liverpool, and they had that great Irish connection. You also still hear them singing "Hail, Hail," as one of their theme songs. But they also sang the Irish anthem at one stage. So, they were very Irish side.
Yeah.
Until, I suppose, before my time, anyhow, they'd lost that real connection to Ireland.
Yeah. I remember we went across 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
We did, yeah. We met Seamus Coleman. What a nice guy he is.
We had a great time, yeah. He really looked after us.
Really, really nice fella.
It was Tony Sage that looked after you as well, wasn't it? Tony Sage? Tony Sage, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And we had a great time. We brought over one of my grandchildren, Oren, and he really enjoyed it. He's mad into football.
But he's a Man United supporter.
I was not going to say that.
We don't like Man United.
No, I was never a Man United man. No, I was always Everton.
No, same as myself. Well, it's not Everton, but I was Liverpool when I started off. But the first time I went to Celtic, once I walked in that ground, I knew. You
were one over. Well, I'm still a Celtic fan, but if you're talking about the English Premiership, that Everton would be my preference.
I don't watch the English Premiership so much anymore. I just find it hard to watch football and sport in general just without the crowds.
Without the crowds. Come on!
It's just, and the things that they add to it is,
and then you hear them shouting as well.
Sometimes they get it wrong. Someone presses the wrong button or whatever.
But it's not the same. Of course, it's not the same. But it's the way it is during this bloody pandemic, and I can't wait till it's over. I'm sure everybody's the same. Where I'm waiting on a vaccine because I'm old. I'm in the older cohort, and I've underlying conditions. Yeah, diabetes and Parkinson's and God knows what. But yeah, I'd be delighted to get it, and the sooner the better. And I won't have any objections to it. That's for sure.
And has anyone been in contact with you, or have you received any communication?
I can't see it happening now. They're talking about, you see, they're on the over 80s, 85s, I think now, and
You're still too young.
I'm still only a young fella at 74. So yeah, so I'm waiting to get to my age group, and then I'll be out there like a light.
Oh, yeah, I was quite jealous looking at or listening to the UK, and their pathway to coming out of lockdown. Did you see that today?
Yeah, I did. They're talking about June. Yeah, June the 21st. Well, that's it. That's something to look forward to. Maybe you get a gig in.
But Leo won't allow you travel.
Me, I'll be down there trying to. No. But you can't.
You're not allowed. No, but that's something that we need. We need something with, because when they released the 9 weeks, or when they were speaking about the 9 weeks of Friday, my whole world just fell apart. I seriously, I got so depressed. I really did. It really hit me. And all day Saturday, I just could not lift the mood. Yeah.
Well, I don't let it get me down at all. I just get on with life. I was out in the garden today. I had a great, I was digging the garden. And it's just a little plot.
Yeah, but see, you have nice, fresh country air out here.
Yeah, of course. And you could have it too.
But I went out yesterday and I went walking up in the woods, and that cleared my head, and that's what I needed.
Yeah. Everybody's the same. I went out for a walk around the lakes there, Blessington, on Sunday, and it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was lovely yesterday, yeah.
And we had 2 grandchildren with me, and my daughter Siobhan, and June, my wife, came out with us, and we walked all around the lake, and then we went back for a pizza, which is on the open. It's open there. They sell it from a bus there at the Avonry. It was really nice, and back then, and that was your Sunday morning outing.
Yeah. But I think if you got. I'm an advocate for that. You should be able to meet outside, because you're out in the fresh air. The chances of the virus transmitting, if you're keeping your 2 meter distance and all that.
That's right.
I think, and we're social people. We need to be able to meet people. Without meeting people, it's just it's. I think especially people that live alone. I think if I was living alone, I'd. God knows.
Yeah, well, I seen a lot of people out walking yesterday, and they would have been in kind of my age group or older. Some of them alone and walking around. Some of them wore a mask, some of them didn't, but you're not going to bump into people, so it's very safe.
Yeah, but I also believe they should lift to 5K.
Yeah, well, they probably have it for other reasons. I wouldn't know, but
But the reason, for why, in my area alone, because there's so many people in the area that I live, the streets are crowded, so it's actually probably more dangerous walking the streets, because you're coming up against more people, so if I could go 10 kilometres, I could go out into the hills out here,
Yeah, exactly, and you're out in the fresh air, up the mountain on your own, you're not near anybody, the odd fox maybe.
Well, that's what we actually seen deer yesterday, which was quite good.
Yeah.
So I was looking back. You released your first single that you released was The Spanish Lady.
Yeah.
And Down in the Mines in 1965. But Spanish Lady never appeared on any of your albums.
No, it never did. And, we probably had too much stuff when I think about it. And I said, we did those couple of records for Fontana. We didn't complete her contract because it was bought out by Oliver Barry. And now, since then, Dolphin Records, which still exist with the younger O'Reilly, Paul, and it's still there, but they don't own them, but they're not contract free, but they still have the tapes.
Right.
I don't know where the Spanish lady's gone to. Nobody could find it.
Yeah.
I asked on several occasions, maybe we'll record it again. Yeah, they were very good to us and over the years. And they splashed us out in the New Musical Express, and we were on Radio Caroline and all that kind of stuff. So they
spent a lot of money on.
They spent a bit of dough. Yeah, they did.
Even though they didn't give you any money to.
No,
to travel.
we never got money. No, we paid our own way.
Well, I'm looking at my cousin's band now in London.
Yeah. The lock-in band, yeah,
and how well they're doing and the promotional side of it, and they're really flying, and it's great to see it. Like a young band like that, just they're not playing rebel music; they're more more mainstream.
Yeah. Well, and Patrick Murphy, who's my nephew, he's loved the Wolf Tones from the very start. And I remember when we were over in Florida together one stage, he was only a young lad, about 6 or so, and and I had the banjo over there and everything else. So he says, let's play stages, so there was a bit of a fireplace, that became the stage. Now he says, you be Tommy and I'll be Brian. So he wanted to be Brian, and he made me be Tommy. So there you go. That's the baby we were playing bands when he was only 7. But he's a good kid. He writes all the music, by the way.
I know, yeah.
And he's a very talented young man. So I said to him, I was talking to him there a couple of weeks ago, and I said, tell you what I'll do, Patrick, I'm going to write a song for you. So I'll have to delve back into my youth to see, can I get some kind of a teeny bop theme.
I just listen to a bit of Ed Sheeran and you'll get some inspiration from there. Just see, we wrote the Galway Girl actually, so you can. But it's good to see. I'm actually enjoying following their progress on it, and that's one good thing about social media. You can follow the rise of that. Like they've gone from. I remember watching the first show that Elaine put up, and they were. Although confident young band, they were, you could see that they weren't used to performing on stage. To now, they're just like,
they're very good. Yeah. The confidence will build, like us all.
When I first went on stage, I hadn't a clue. I was afraid of my life. I wouldn't even sing. Sure, it was myself, Phil King, and John Walsh, and I just had no confidence to sing at all. I just believed I had a shite voice, and the reason I remember going to. There was a play being put on in Blessington, and it was in St. Joseph's Hall, and the auditions, you had to go up, and you had to sing the Whistling Gypsy. Remember that song?
Yeah.
Whistling Gypsy came over the hill. I think it was Leo Maguire's song, is it?
I think it was, yeah. And a very popular song when I was a kid. Oh my God, that was...
and what you had to do, everybody was sitting along, and the one that was picking the people, she says, if I tap you on the head now, you'll be working behind the stage, so I was there. Obviously my voice was breaking at the time, which didn't help, and I was there singing away to my heart's content, the Whistling Gypsy, giving it loads, and next of all, bang, tapping the head. I was like,
backstage.
I said, fuck that, I'm out of here. I didn't do any backstage work, but I lost a lot of confidence in that moment,
of course you would,
But I wasn't a very confident person, and so when we started off playing, and then the other problem I had was that because I was a son of a wolf tone, everyone expects you to be brilliant. No, they do. They think it just comes natural, So I was always afraid of putting that forward. I'm the son of a wolf town, so whenever I was trying to get a gig or anything like that, I would never say that. Not that I would anyway, but I was always afraid of that there would be an expectation on me because I was son of a wolf town.
Yeah. Well, probably, yeah. Like you do, I suppose. Like any of the people. But I mean, you see running through families too that, there might be a famous singer in a family, and there'll be always others who are as good and sometimes better.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's kind of a thing that's in families, I think.
Yeah, But it's a confidence thing as well. You know, you need to be a confident person to own the stage. You know,
that's part of it. Yeah, you might have the talent, and the talent without the confidence to do it is lacks that performance.
And to get that confidence on stage, you need to do it a lot.
You need to do it a lot. Yeah.
Like back when you were starting off, you were playing 7 nights a week, so you got plenty of.
Well, not at the immediate start, you know, but we did took every gig that was going, and I think that's important. And then, you know, we did a lot of charity work as well and if anything came around, we do it, you know, and it was a great experience.
I think it's important to do charity work. You know, we do quite a lot of it as well. You know, we never turn it down, put it that way, unless we've got something else on, and if we can rearrange the other gig and do the charity gig, we'll always do that, because for me it's not about the money. I just love playing music, you know.
You do. And well, when you get, I suppose, to our age, like we used to do a lot of charity, we just can't, we don't have the
you're
energy
not doing as many, you're not doing as many gigs.
You couldn't work every night of the week when, you know, we do a couple of gigs a year, and as much as we can. I mean, Tommy's 76 this year, and I'm 74.
Yeah.
Noel 75.
You've done well to get this far. Like there's a lot more healthier groups that went before you that are not around at a younger age. They left at a younger age.
Well, yeah, I suppose, we're very blessed in a way that, you know, the whole group. I don't want to put a better touch wood. Yeah, but
I'm gonna touch
we just don't want to, you know. As I said, my grandmother used to say to us when we were kids, live as long as you can and die when you can't help it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do now.
Well, these are doing a good job, and long may it last. And considering, like, I remember as a kid, like, going to gigs like in Chockforbo and Gleneagle and 2 Mile Inn and all these places, and the smoky atmosphere, like the pall of smoke that used to go through it, because there was no ventilation in them. Yeah. Most of the venues would have big thick curtains around them, you know, for windows, you know, so people couldn't see in or whatever, and like.
But if you look at it, you know, the Clancy brothers, they grew up in them smoky atmospheres as well, and sang in them as we did, but they probably spent longer in it because, like, they were around a good few years before we came on.
Yeah.
But Liam and Tommy Macon, they died of, you know, the chest thing where you know, smoke and inhalation and all that kind of thing. Eczema or emphysema. Yeah. And so, you know, it did take its toll.
Yeah. And Jim McCann, he died of throat cancer.
Well, throat cancer, yeah. Jim McCann died. I knew Jim very well. I mean, of course, everybody. We all started back in the old folk clubs and all that. And we knew one another and all that kind of thing. And I remember when Jim went to join the Johnsons and... the Ludlows, wasn't it? I think it was the Ludlows he joined.
I never even heard of the Ludlows. Yeah.
Well, they'd done Dominic's Bean song, "The Sea Around Us."
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it became a number one.
Oh, the sea, Grog, Cree, and the water did rise. Quite right.
Oh, may it flow between
England and me, yeah.
It's a sure guarantee. That was Dominic Bean's song, and the Ludlows had a number one with it, which, you know, was up there. It was a great song, and they did a lovely version, and that's something. When we had the four courts going in Dublin, almost every single act that ever came out of Ireland played there.
Yeah.
And every manager was on to us every week. Can you put on so-and-so this week? Can you do so? We're on. Can you put the Johnsons on this week? The Ludlows this week? It was just, we filled that place every Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And it was a huge success. Everybody tried to take it over, like Mr. Tennant, who owned the hotel. He'd say, there's more people up this week looking for your gig.
And was it 3 nights? It was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then he, you know, when it come up to the winter time, he wanted the Saturday nights for dress dances. So then we just do the Friday and Sunday.
All right.
But he ran all kinds of things there, and it's gone now. The hotel doesn't exist anymore. It's now part of the Four Courts complex.
Right. Okay.
But they built offices over it or whatever.
How long did you do that for?
We've done that for about 4 years, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for 4 years.
No, we only done Fridays and Saturdays when he went into the dancing season.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Wow.
But they were extremely popular, and as I said, everybody who ever got into the music business, the folk music business, started there. We had Luke Kelly there many times. I think we had Ronnie on his own. Yeah, there was breakaways on and off with the Dubliners,
Yeah.
Luke Kelly left over. I remember we got offered a deal with Phil Solomons. And Phil Solomons offered you a deal that he'd get you into the British charts.
Yeah.
You could he'd have you on Radio Caroline and all that kind of thing. You couldn't sing any rebel songs.
All right.
And you had to, like Black Ribbon Band and all kinds of stuff, grand. But, that was the condition. You just sign a contract with him. And we refused to sign because we didn't like the clause about not singing any songs about Ireland.
Yeah.
So we never took the deal. But you were promised a top 10 because all the bloody charts were manipulated. You got a top 10 hit if you signed up.
So you pretty much could buy your...
well, and he owned you for 5 years, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's why Luke Kelly left the Dubliners, because he paid you a wage.
Yeah.
You got paid a wage every week.
Right.
And it was, he was taking the bulk of the money.
So you had no control over your own destiny for 5 years. No control on your
destiny at all. And he paid a wage, and he got all the money from the recordings, from the stage gigs. He made you into a big act.
Yeah.
He done the same with the Bachelors.
Yeah.
The Bachelors were a trio from Inchicore who had phenomenal success. And I remember at one stage he bought them all a house in Dublin, which was probably more than the contract asked for. But there was a lot of that going around in them days. Most of the show bands and all that were owned by people who just supplied the musicians and gave them the droppings from the table, that's all.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of skullduggery around, let's put it that way.
A lot of manipulation.
Greed and manipulation.
Yeah. That's terrible. Well, they're living off other people's talent. But I suppose...
you see...
it was a...
Yeah, I don't... musicians can't have every talent, and some musicians have a business sense, and some musicians would not have a business sense. I've seen great musicians who could play fantastic and everything else, but they couldn't put a gig together. You know what I mean? Or they hadn't got the business sense to go in that direction, so they needed somebody else.
Yeah.
And that somebody else normally exploited them.
Yeah.
So that's the way it was.
Yeah. And did Luke like singing a rebel song? Do you class them as rebel songs, or do you just class them as Irish songs?
I never classed them as rebel songs. That came from other people. They were in our family, people singing them in our family. We learned them at school.
Yeah.
I didn't think historic songs. Yes, I would have seen them in that sense.
Yeah.
In as much that they told a story about a particular episode of Irish history, like Who Fears to Speak of '98. I learned that at school. Great song.
Yeah, it is a great song.
And 20 Men from Dublin Town. 20 Men.
I know that song. Yeah,
you know that song. We learned lots of songs. Nation Once Again. On the One Road. They were all songs that we learned at school, and we loved them. The West Wake.
Yeah. That's a brilliant song.
It's a brilliant song. Yeah. We learned hundreds of songs. Like I always remember learning one in school of My grandfather died and he left me a pig, a fine old pig that would do a fine and jig with the E-I-A-D-O, mammy are you daddy-o, E-I-A-D-O, down by the Luke and Dairies.
Never heard that in my life.
The Luke and Dairies. They're gone now, the Luke and Dairies. But yeah, there's loads of songs like that hanging around. People, kids would come out singing songs in the street, and you'd wonder where the hell you get that one from, you know. But that song was very important in all aspects in growing up in Dublin, and as much that the girls had lovely skipping songs, and they had songs that they threw the balls up against the wall with, and and they had.
We had them in our time when we were kids down in Lucan, when we lived down in Lucan. I remember some of them now. I wouldn't remember them off my head, but I remember Siobhan and the kids just like playing the games. Yeah, so they played the games, and they had nice songs as well. We had bawdy songs, which I won't mention on this one. Well, you can if you want. It's your show to say what you want.
No. It's not. They're not nice. But anyhow, we thought they were great when we were kids because we could say dirty words.
Yeah. I think all kids are like that, aren't they?
Yeah, but anyhow, it was all part of growing up and all part of life in Dublin. You know, everybody loved the song. There was a sing song on the bus. When we come back from the pictures or wherever, we might be coming back from Bray on a Sunday, wherever, after being out with Dad out in Bray, and on the train coming back in, there'd be a bloody sing-song. And the whole, you'd have everybody from Mario Lanza to, Jimmy O'D, you know what I mean, singing, and some of them were great.
But it was a typical thing to do on a bus back then, or on a tram or a train. Yeah, everyone would break into song, but we were probably more... I've seen it now on Facebook, and it just becomes viral because... it happens, that someone starts singing on a bus because it's so unusual now. But back in the day, it wasn't really.
Yeah, every bus ride, especially the bus ride after the pubs, that you were sure to find some kind of a tenor or a guy or Frank Sinatra, when somebody loves you, it's no good unless he loves you all the way. And that was way. And the same with the darts, when they have dart competitions in pubs and all that.
I remember.
Yeah, and the sing-song would go after and everybody would sing their song, and, you'd have the cool guy getting up there with a cigarette in his mouth, he'd be doing Frank Sinatra, and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it was good crack, and there was always laugh.
Yeah, I remember Uncle Noel doing him and Frank Cheevers doing the Finnegan's Wake. And they'd have
That's right, yeah.
They'd lay
brush.
They'd lay Frank out on the table. No, it would either be a brush or a large bottle of stout. Used, for anyone that's listening, it would be see how he rises, and then the bottle of stout would come up from underneath the coat. But it always got a great laugh, no matter where we went.
Yeah. Well, the happy days in a way, people didn't have as much, I suppose. Well, things got better in the 60s and 70s, but there was still a lot of emigration in the 80s, and it wasn't as good as we have it now.
Oh no, it was very bleak in the 80s. I even remember, college, all through college and all. It was
people didn't have the money.
Everyone I knew were either in Australia, Jersey, London.
Yeah,
they all emigrated.
Yeah. And, especially in the summertime, to make the few bob to go back to school and all that kind of thing. So it was important to get out for the summer and do some work somewhere. Not like you came back broke.
Where, from America?
Yeah.
No, I came back with money.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I did all right. I didn't come back with loads of money. I bought clothes and it. But I had a good summer.
Yeah.
I did. Well, no, I did. They asked me.
I gave you your reserve money and everything else. You never brought it back.
You didn't need it. One of the best summers ever, with Tom and Judy.
Yeah.
Great times. worked out on Seaside Heights in a pizza. What was it called?
Vacant pizza, was it?
No, I remember because when we went over, myself and Roy, we were looking for jobs, and we went along the boardwalk, and we went into this motel, and they gave us a job there cleaning the rooms, and I was like, that's going to be crap. Like it was one of these real seedy motels along the seaside.
Paid by the hour.
And then we went to Burger King, and we got a job there, and I was like, don't want to work in Burger King for the summer. So we went down to this pub, pizza place, but mainly a pub. At a pub, the bar was out on the boardwalk, like, so it was nice.
Right, yeah.
And I went in, and I said, can I speak to the owner? And they said, he's downstairs. And I said, can I go down and see him? And just wait here. And said, what are you looking for? I said, looking for jobs. And he says, where are you from? I said, from Ireland. So your man went downstairs. We were asked down. We went down into this big, huge office, which was in the basement, and this Italian guy, real mafia, with the tash and everything. Like, you couldn't, and
you couldn't design them better.
So I started talking to him. We were talking about, and I told him that I worked in a bar in Ireland and blah blah blah. But I was too young to work behind
the bar,
because you had to be 21. But I had an old dodgy. Well, not dodgy, an old license. Remember the ones that used to fold out? And before we went over, we typed up our false date of birth on it. And when we went over, we produced this wherever we went, to get a drink. And we never got refused, because once you pulled this out and it folded out into this big long sheet, the bartender or the bouncer would sort of look at it, scratch their head, and send you on through. But it got us in with into the serving pizzas and stuff like that, starting off, and we progressed up into washing glasses and bottles and stuff like that. But it was a great summer, and I really enjoyed it. And it was a summer of learning and a summer of just enjoying the beach and just seeing how different people live. But I guess that we're coming near to 48 minutes, so we'll sign off and we'll play out with the Wolf Tones version of Dicey Reilly. Probably unknown to a lot of people that the Wolf Tones recorded this, but it does predate the Dubliners' first recorded version, which was 1967. And so here is the Wolf Tones with Dicey Reilly. And don't forget, folks, if you've enjoyed the episode, please do give us a like, give us a share. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And the best thing you can do is recommend us to your friends. So thanks again for listening. God bless. Guramina Mahaga Slán.
Poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sun. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. For us up each morning to the hut, and she nips in for another little drop of the heart. Then her oldest Dicey Reilly, she walks along Fitzgibbon Street with an independent air, and then it's down the summer hill and for the beef was there. She says it's nearly 1:30, so I'll nip in for another little one of the heart. Then her oldest Dicey Reilly, poor old Dicey Reilly, she has taken to the sun. Poor old Dicey Reilly, she will never give it up. To the hut, and she goes in for a little rock of the heart. To the revelous Dicey Reilly, she owns a little sewing shop at the corner of the street, and every evening after school I go to wash her feet. She leaves me there to mind the shop while she nips in for another little drop of the heart.